The movie starts with a couple named Pippa and her boyfriend Thomas moving into a new house. In that night, while the couple were relaxing, they look into the neighbor couple, Sebastian and Julia's apartment, and get curious about their life. Pippa in the night tries to seduce her boyfriend, but it all goes in vain. Next day, in the work as a trainee optometrist, Pippa gets a bird feeder from her boss as a housewarming gift. In the evening, the couple peeks through the neighbor's apartment to see Sebastian choking. They decide to help him. Even it would expose their peeking. Somehow, his wife Julia sees her husband and helps him. Later that night, Pippa peeps through the window and thinks about Sebastian. Later on after work, she sees a binocular and buys it to look into the neighbor's apartment. On the same day, while they were peeping through the neighbors, they witness Sebastian cheating on his wife with a model. Since they witness the scene, they get intimate as it got them aroused. Next day in the house, they see that the neighbors were having an Halloween party and decide to crash the party and place mics all over their apartment as they want to hear the neighbors' conversations. In that night, while they were eavesdropping, they hear that Sebastian and a new model are having a fight regarding their relationship. In the work, Pippa sees Julia. She has visited for a test regarding her eyesight and they form a friendship. After the checkup, Julia invites Pippa for a coffee sometimes later. Thomas, on the other hand, sees Sebastian cheating on his wife with a new model. Later that night, Pippa tells Thomas that she is planning to tell Julia about Sebastian's affair. Julia and Pippa go to a spa the next day, and they have talks about their life. After that, while in the house, Pippa has some strange illusions as Sebastian cheating and feels guilty about not exposing the affair, so she sends an anonymous fax to Julia's home printer. In the morning, Pippa and Thomas see Julia dead, as she had committed suicide. Due to the guilt, Thomas leaves the house blaming Pippa for her death and breaks up with her. Sometimes later, Pippa sees broken Sebastian and decides to console and ask for forgiveness, so she follows him into a bar and meets him there. During their conversation, Sebastian asks Pippa for a photo to use it in his exhibition, and Pippa accepts the proposal. They both then leave to his apartment for the shoot, while in the session things escalate to them being intimate. At the same time, Thomas decides to return to the apartment with flowers to make amends for the fight. As the apartment was empty, he sees movements in the neighbor's apartment and sees Pippa being intimate with Sebastian and get heartbroken. On the morning, Pippa returns to her apartment to see Thomas hanging dead. Some days after Thomas's funeral, Pippa visits her friend Ari, who consoles and tells her to move on as Thomas had broken up with her when she was intimate with Sebastian. Pippa then tells her friend that she wants to meet Sebastian for her to move on. They both then decide to meet Sebastian, so they visit his exhibition. In the party, he introduces his partner Julia, who is alive as his collaboration. Pippa gets shocked to see Julia alive, but to add more credit, they display Pippa and Thomas' life as their project, exposing her for the Thomas dead. Broken, Pippa returns to her apartment and looks around to find an open space in the attic and climbs there to see surveillance's system with their whole apartment in its view. She breaks all the systems and equipments and moves out of the apartment the next day. Sebastian and Julia, on the other hand, hold an interview to promote their exhibition and explain their legal lease, which they had signed with Pippa and Thomas regarding the surveillance in the apartment, as the apartment belongs to them. After the interview, they see a wine bottle outside their apartment as a gift for their exhibition. As they were enjoying the wine, they get a fax in their printer, as Thomas' death wasn't suicide and they were the ones who killed him. They both then see Pippa in the rooftop of their apartment and follow her to her laboratory. There, she tells them her guess on how they might have killed Thomas. Suddenly, they both fall down unconscious as Pippa had spiked their wine as it was from her. She then uses laser to make them blind as her revenge. Sometimes later, a new gay couple moves into the apartment and see the blind, Sebastian and Julia.